What's going on, everyone? Welcome into a Cleveland Browns mailbag video. These are all questions that you, subscribers, ask during our live show, which airs every Thursday at 4 o'clock Eastern. So if you've got a question you want to ask, tune in next Thursday to be on the mailbag. So with that being said, our first question comes in via Super Chat from Young Sky. Mike Gesicki for Harrison Bryant, just a thought. So Young Sky expanded on this later on in the chat, so I'll expand for it too. What he's asking is, pair up Mike Gesicki with David Njoku. Maybe that's a cool thing to do in Madden. I don't think we're gonna, say that's a bad idea. But with the limited resources available for the Browns this offseason, there's bigger fish to fry. There's bigger boxes to check. Not finding a better tight end too. And I'm also a Harrison Bryant stan. So I'm going to pass on this just because they've got bigger priorities to work through than finding a better tight end too this offseason. Joshua Miller next up on the show. Will the Browns cut returner Jakeem Grant to save a few million on the cap? I included Jakeem Grant in my cut candidates video I did about 10 or so days ago, maybe almost 2 weeks now. And the Browns, if I remember correctly, can save in the ballpark of $3-ish million. I am kind of concerned for Jakeem Grant's spot on this roster this upcoming season. Right, he ruptures Achilles in August. He's coming close to 30 if he's not already there right now. And he's a return specialist who's coming off an Achilles injury. That's not good. And I don't think I'd be terribly surprised if they cut Jakeem Grant to save some money. And plus, they didn't sign him initially to be a wide receiver. He was brought on to be a kick and punt returner. And if he can't do that job to the best of his abilities because he lost a step from that Achilles injury, it's a real bummer. But the Browns may very well move on from him because of it. Next question coming in from Johnny. Who is a sleeper draft target? Good question. Sleeper draft target. I'm going to go with this name here. Let's get Drew Sanders. Yeah. So this is the linebacker from Arkansas that every single year, a couple names rise and fall after college football ends and before the combine for no real reason. They haven't played a game since then. And Drew Sanders is the beneficiary of that this year. So one, his stats are incredible for an off-ball, a linebacker, kind of a Swiss Army knife. 103 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. The Browns maybe don't have a huge need at linebacker. They could run it back with JOK, Tony Fields, Jacob Phillips, and either Taki, Anthony Walker, and like one of the guys at the end of the season that played really well, like Reggie Ragland, you know what I'm saying? But Drew Sanders might be just a great football player that you don't want to pass on, right? Just a good overall football player that you look at and you go, maybe we don't have a need for this right now, but down the line, we're going to be happy he's on our roster. So that would be a sleeper that's starting to really rise, honestly, and maybe in a few months it'd be outdated to call him a sleeper, but that's my pick right now. Joshua Miller next up on the show. Byron Young from the Tennessee Vols is linebacker / defensive end in the second round. So as a Tennessee grad myself, I like the idea of drafting all Tennessee players, right? That's how it works whenever you have your college and your pro team get together. Byron Young is a really good player. He has 12 sacks in his last 2 seasons off the top of my head combined. The issue I kind of run into is the age department. He's got a great story. High motor. Check it out. ESPN, you already know they're going to blow their load when they find out that he had a rough upcoming and he had to persevere and go through a lot of tough stuff. I mean, Steve Levy's going to lose it when he finds out about that. But at the same time, you want to draft a 25-year-old defensive end linebacker, maybe that's something teams – this is Byron Young, the Alabama defensive lineman. So different Byron Young. That's okay. Patrick was just trying to be helpful. But, yeah, there are 2 Byron Youngs who play the same position in this same draft class. So keep an eye on that. But overall, hey, I'm not going to reject the idea of drafting someone from my alma mater. But at the same time, if he didn't go to Tennessee, I probably wouldn't be so for it, if you know what I'm talking about. So if you want to be on our future mailbag, it's subscribers only. You got to tune in every Thursday, 4 o'clock Eastern. So hit that sub button, turn those notifications on, because 30 minutes before we go live, you'll get that push notification on your phone, and you won't forget to join in. So hit that noti icon or the subscribe button if you haven't already. An absolute staple of the channel, Levi Mayfield next up. Do we need more depth for our offensive line? Let's pull up the offensive line depth chart, Patrick, because I'm guessing of one of the 7 current Browns draft picks, one of them is going to go to offensive line, right? Dawson Deaton was one of their last picks last year, and he got injured in training camp and is currently the backup center. Probably not what they're shooting for. If they bring back Pocic, then Harris will go back to being a backup. But looking at this offensive line, yeah, I think you're set at your starters. There's no reason why they can't re-sign Pocic unless he commands too much money in the open market and run it back with the same 5 starters. But in terms of actual depth, I think you're right on, Levi, that they do need some depth, and that's where rounds 4 through 7 are probably going to get used a little bit here. Ryan Chowdhury next up. Do you think Daron Payne and Perion Winfrey is enough? I do. I think Myles Garrett, Daron Payne, and Perion Winfrey, and then cheap free agent, breakout season from Alex Wright, even if it's not stellar defensive end play opposite of Myles Garrett, I'll take Daron Payne and Perion Winfrey. I want to be sold on Winfrey because it's a lot easier if Perion Winfrey is good, and he improved throughout the season, no doubt about it, especially after some character issues, if you will, to put it lightly, in the first half of the year. But he played better the last 6 or so games, and I hope he carries that momentum, carries that play into 2023. So to answer your question, Ryan, I am going to say yes. I will go on the record right now and say Daron Payne and Perion Winfrey, that is enough for a starting interior defensive line. Patriots 1776 brand. Do you think Stefanski is gone after this year if we don't make the playoffs? Probably. That would be 3 straight seasons of missing the postseason after making it his first year. First full season with Deshaun Watson. It's tough to say. If the Browns start off 8-0, and I'm not going to even say it out loud, right? It's like a craps table. You don't say the number. But if someone really important who wears the number 4 got hurt, that might extend him to another year. But if everyone's healthy and it's just bad play calling and similar issues to last year and it doesn't seem like the offense really grew under Watson, yeah, I'm guessing Haslam and Barry and maybe even Barry are going to be looking for changes right there. Now, we've got an awesome deal with our friends over at BetUS. When you go to chatsports.com/bet, you can use promo code Browns125. We're filming this on Thursday right now, and I am borderline crazy in love with the 49ers money line this week. Give it to me, hook it to my veins, check me into rehab afterwards if we have to. But I'm going Niners. Ride with me or fade me. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Browns125, and they'll give you a 125% deposit bonus. David Kemper, next up on the show. Will we re-sign Pocic? So reports did come out from Berea, Mary Kay reported on this, that the Browns want to bring back Ethan Pocic. As they should. He was one of the best centers in football last year. He used my propaganda to bring back J.C. Tretter when Nick Harris got hurt as fuel. I have good sources from inside the locker room that they blasted my propaganda to bring back J.C. Tretter, and I look like a clown for saying it now because Pocic was awesome last year. The run game fell off the face of the earth when he went down with a knee injury against Buffalo in Detroit, which sounds so weird to say out loud. So as long as Pocic doesn't get outbid, I would expect him maybe to want to come back to the spot where we're talking about a guy who kind of stunk in Seattle and was supposed to be their starting center long term. So I'm sure he likes playing next to Petonio and Teller. That might make my life a little bit easier for him. So if Pocic, as long as he doesn't get $10+ million in free agency, which I don't think he would, if he's willing to come back on $78 million, which is about 7 times more than he had last year, yeah, sign me up. I sure hope it gets done. Joshua Miller with a $5 super. If University of Michigan defensive tackle Maisie Smith is available in the second round and the legal/character issues clear up, do we take a chance? Dude's an athletic freak for a defensive tackle per film. Well, let's just say the quiet part out loud. I think the Browns have come to peace with maybe overlooking some character or legal things. You know what I'm talking about here. So I don't think that would necessarily get in the way or be a huge obstacle if we're being frankly honest here. Man, you're absolutely right, though, about the athletic freak that he is. And if the Browns do not solve their defensive tackle issues in free agency, then that's got to be the first pick they do in round 2. And if not, we get our pitchforks and we riot. Dum-dum, next up on the show. Could you actually see the Browns trading Denzel Ward? I don't think it's a 0% chance it happens. I think it's a non-zero, right? How much higher above it? Not much. But I don't think there is no world or no possibility where the Browns trade Denzel Ward because they've got too many good corners right now. Martin Emerson, I don't think they expected in year 1 to be the best cornerback on this team last year. Greg Newsome was not good in the slot. He doesn't want to play the slot anymore. He wants to go outside. You want to know why? Outside corners get Jalen Ramsey kind of money. Slot corners, they don't get much money. They get Buster Screen type of money. So with that being said, if you have 3 guys who want to play outside, you might look and see if you can make a trade for whichever player is going to bring you back the most, which would be Denzel Ward. I think he would get you the most in a trade. But at the same time, they just signed him to a 5-year, $100 million contract a year ago. Not even. 8 months ago or whatever. I don't see them moving on from him after one bad season. Now, the dead cap hit would be huge. Financially, it seems like it's very, very much of a long shot. But you never know. If Andrew Berry gets a phone call from the Dallas Cowboys and they say, we want to bring Denzel Ward to pair up with Diggs and we'll give you our first-round pick to do it, AB was going to think long and hard about that. No doubt about it. So let me know. Would you trade Denzel Ward? Let me know in the comment section, yes or no. Last question coming in from our resident Carolina Panthers fan, Remarkable Zay. Remarkable Zay is here. By the way, I think the draft would be the best bet for the Browns, in my opinion. I feel like y'all need better cornerbacks. This comes off the heels of my huge rant of the Browns are pretty set at cornerback. I mean, I don't think them. Maybe, late day 3 picks can be any position, really. There's nothing guaranteed there. It's usually best player available, and it might not be the position you absolutely need. But I just don't see them using a high pick on corner. They've done it for 3 straight years, almost, right? I mean, not quite 3 straight, but Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, and Martin Emerson, 2 of those guys were their first overall draft selection. And the other guy was just 2 or 3 picks later. So, yeah, I think they're going to be kind of set on using top picks for cornerbacks. Appreciate everyone for tuning into today's mailbag. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Hit that sub button down below, and we'll get you guys the best Cleveland Browns off-season content guaranteed or your money back, and it's free. So you got nothing to lose by trying it.